Hello and welcome to the Choose Strong podcast. I'm your host, Ed McCrae. And I'm here with some other person named Sally.
That was great.
That was a great intro.
Listeners, we always talk about before we start, like who's going to start it. And typically Eddie's like, just start it.
You start it.
You just do it. And then when I persuade him to start it, he does. And if you're watching on YouTube, you already saw, but like he always has like this half little kiddish, like about to laugh look on his face.
I know. I don't know
like
why.
It's like so funny to you to intro the podcast, but that was a great job.
Yeah, it was. I even shortened my name to Ed.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
I think you get that a lot. You get Ed, but what is your number one most mixed up name you've ever had in your life?
Eric.
One. How does Eric and Ed, how do people mix that up?
I have no idea, but I've been getting that for years.
And I've been with you.
I know, and I'm always wondering, do I say Eddie? Like, do I say it? Eddie?
You like second guess how you pronounce your own name?
Eddie.
And then you know mine. What's mine?
Molly.
Yeah. I have had countless people tell me, well, you look like a Molly. And I'm like, okay. Okay, should I change it?
Yeah, but I'm getting Ed a lot, and I think it's because I'm getting older.
No.
Yes.
It's not. I think people call you Ed when they like get to know you or they feel like they're a closer friend to you, because I call you Ed a lot.
Yeah, maybe it's... Yeah, if you're in tight with me, you can call me Ed.
Yeah, you can call you Ed. Yeah,
that's why I said Ed on the podcast, because people that are listening, they're in tight with us.
Right, they are. This is our circle,
like family,
our circle of friends. But when is it appropriate to call you Edward?
It's never really appropriate unless I'm like flying and I need to.
Right, which has been a nightmare because. I don't know, listeners, if you have ever experienced this before, but we have multiple times gone to the airport. And Eddie on his plane ticket, his TSA card, and then also your like credit card.
Yeah.
It says Eddie. Yeah. And when he shows his license, it says Edward. Mm-hmm. Multiple times we've had security agents say,
But it's like,
and I'm like, is that a stretch though? Is it? Are we not allowed to use like logic here?
It's like the one sketch from that Nate Bargatze.
Oh my gosh, I love him when he talks about the airport.
When he's like talking about Nathan, and
yes,
he had another one.
Nathaniel,
yeah. Mm-hmm. He's like, really? Like 100% face, 90% name? You're not going to give me that? So good.
Like a part of you just wants, and it's so difficult to change it. I mean, you're showing them your license. Here's my face. Here are multiple things that also say Eddie. Also, logic and history says that this is pretty common to call someone named Edward Eddie. It's not like it's Steven.
Right.
It says Edward on your license, but you're saying your name is Steven. Like, I can understand that, but like the fact they cock their head to the side and they're like, well, this is suspicious.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
This is very
I do
suspicious.
need to change that, though.
Yeah, apparently it's like a hassle to change.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I need to look into it.
Yeah. I think you and I were talking yesterday because we had to fill out some forms. I said, from here on out, everything official is Edward. We can't use Eddie. Here on out. After 22 years of marriage, and we finally decided.
You know what? I need to, Well, Sal, how's it going today? Today is Wednesday. We're midweek today. How you doing? How's it going?
Okay, that's a loaded question.
I know,
we'll get to that in a minute because we haven't even greeted our runners yet.
Oh, yeah, let's do that.
Our runners are already like 3 minutes in. There might be a little sweat on the brow by now.
There might be a little. This is what happens to me 3 minutes in, where you're like, your stomach starts to like bump around and jiggle. You're like, ooh, I should not have eaten that like 10 minutes ago. And you just like, should I stop or should I just kind of push through and hope it gets better?
So you're indicating the fact that you are not a morning runner.
Oh, well, yeah, I've said that forever.
Yeah.
But not even that. I feel like when I go and run, sometimes I'm just like, I just feel like something bouncing around in my stomach. I'm like, this is not a good feeling.
Right. I think there's a lot of people that are giggling and nodding their heads saying, I know exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah, I'm sure it's common.
Yeah, you just don't feel amazing.
Yeah.
Well, then there's some people that are with us right now that have actually started a race.
Yes, that's right.
So they're like 5 minutes into a race. Should we check in with them and ask them if they're actually going to the pace they're supposed to be going right now?
You know what? I'm going to take a drink. Why don't you go for it?
If you have started a race, I want you to look down at your watch, check that heart rate, check that pace. Is that what you plan to run? The excitement at the beginning of the race, Ed, is sometimes we feel like we're running a 1 mile race.
Yeah. The nerve jitters come and the race jitters.
Yeah.
You know, all of it.
Ed, how many, you've run Surf City half marathon many times.
Yes, a couple times.
And I know you have mentioned before how hilarious it is that the pace at which that race takes off, and then halfway through the number of people that you pass who are walking because of that, right? So for those of you that are racing, keep in mind you have some solid time on your feet ahead of you. And yes, this is a race. It's not just a weekend long run or jog. You do want to give your best effort, but break it up into 3 parts: the beginning, the middle, and the end. And you want to be able to rip it open in that last third. And so while you're giving a good effort right now, you also want to save a little bit to finish strong. I think that's one of my many race strategies that I like to give to people, especially if you're new to racing. Break your race up into thirds, and that's always really helpful.
Yeah. I remember when I asked you, I think one year, like when you first started doing like hundreds or something, and I asked you a question. I'm like, how do you like focus, or how do you like break that up? I don't think I said break it up, but you said I break it up into 4 like sections, 25, 25, 25, and 25. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, and
4 marathons.
Yeah. I'm like, all right. Anyways.
But it does help. It helps you stay a little bit closer to yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It helps you like stay more in that moment. It's allowing your mind to wrap around like what you need to do in that moment, instead of, oh my gosh, look at how far I have to go. Or, I think if people are doing a trail race right now, it's easy to think of, oh man, that one really big climb at mile 21. Like, don't think about that. Like, think about the mile that you're in. And that's actually another strategy I use, especially in hard, bigger, mountainous 100-mile races, is I literally say to myself, stay in this mile, stay in this mile, and do this mile as best you can. And oh my gosh, that has helped me so much over the years, especially if I get to a point where I'm really uncomfortable. If I'm at mile 78 of a 106-mile race, UTMB is that far. Yeah. That's always helped me. Is like, you still have like over 30 miles to go, but just only focus on this mile. Yeah. And I think we can apply that to our life too. If you're having a hard week and you're like, I have no idea how I'm going to get through this week, don't worry about what's coming up tomorrow. You can't control tomorrow, but just stay in the hour that you're in. Yeah.
Some guy messaged me this past week actually saying, thanks for saying, like a couple episodes ago, I said, one step, one foot in front of the other, and just keep moving. Because I've done that. Like I don't want to even be in that mile. I just want to be in that step. And I just remember saying that, and that guy was like, man, thanks. That really got me through that mile, or through, I can't remember what he was in, but that's, you can break it down in life like that too. Like each hour and,
Yeah. And I know, so much of what we think about in races, as far as the motivational quotes, the things that keep us like locked in mentally to allow us to keep moving forward. There are things that we've heard over and over again. Yeah. I think for all of our listeners, they're like, we know these things are true. Yep. It's just that when you're in it, it's a lot harder to believe it. And it's a lot harder to cling to it, because you're just like, it's so hard, or it's so uncomfortable. And that's why I think the long run is so important. So for those of you that are on a long like training run right now, that is your closest race assimilation. When Mackenzie and I were in Flagstaff, we hit day, I think it was like 5 or 6, and we both went out for a run. And I'm not kidding, we were both half mile in, and we look at each other. I'm like, I feel like trash. She's like, so do I. Like, we felt horrible. And Flagstaff sits at just about 7,000 feet. I think it's like 6,900 feet. So it sits at 7,000 feet. And I told her, what I know to be true about when you're acclimating to altitude is that you hit like around like days 6 to 10 is you can feel pretty terrible. You can even feel like you have the flu. Your body feels heavy. Everything feels hard. Your heart rate's, shooting. You just don't feel good.
Yeah.
And we had like a really good bonding moment in that. She ran ahead of me. Most of our runs we'd start out together and then she'd kind of run ahead. And I always just told her like, hey, I'm always going to be here, but don't feel like you need to stay at my pace.
Yeah.
And she has always done much better than me at altitude. I mean, it's incredible. I think
she's really good.
You always went to the Big Bear camps
Yep.
up in the mountains. And I think she, between the boys and the girls, was the fastest out of both teams, or if not like second or third fastest.
She was
out
up
of
there,
all
but
of them.
she did.
It was crazy.
She does really well
because altitude just does well. But so I would tell her, I'm like, don't feel like you need to stay back with me. But this particular day, we were both like really feeling that adjustment period, and she ended up circling back to me. We were only like 17 minutes into our run, and we had planned on doing like a shorter run that day anyway. But this trail that we had chosen was going up the side of this like hill, and she comes back to me. She's like, oh my gosh, like I do not feel good. I go, dude, neither do I. I go, let's turn around and like go back down, and then we can get like some good road running in. And so we did that, and we just stayed together for like the rest of the time. But a couple times she's like, man, I can't believe I feel like this. And I told her, I said, Mackenzie, this is actually how you get better in racing. Because what we're going to do today is we're both going to feel like trash. We're both going to be uncomfortable. We're both not going to like how we're feeling. And we're going to finish the workout. And the reality is when you're racing, whether you're the last person to cross the finish line or the first person, everybody goes through a moment of discomfort. A moment, many moments, an entire section, many miles, where it is uncomfortable. It is literally the part of racing. And if you hit those points in your long run, be grateful for them. And I know that sounds weird. And I'm not saying this like in a masochistic way where you're just like, oh man, I hope it gets really hard. It's just appreciate it, because that is those moments in your long runs that are uncomfortable, they're hard. That's going to be the most, like the best way for you to work through race day situations.
Yeah.
And so we talked about that. I said, Mackenzie, when you race, you know very well how there's a point where it gets really uncomfortable. When she shakes her head, she nods her head. She's like, oh, absolutely. And especially when you're on the track, doing like a 2 or 3 mile race, it then becomes in the last 800 meters, 600 meters, who can be uncomfortable the best, who can push through the discomfort the best and find that other gear. That's what racing is. And so we pushed along on the road together. And when we finished, I gave her a high five. I said, well done finishing this run in so much discomfort, because you're going to use that on race day. I go, I want you to remember this training run that we had together. And I want you to remember and tell yourself, I remember when I felt terrible on that day running with mom and I finished. And I said, that is how you build mental fortitude.
Yep.
Is your body and brain, they get used to doing things that are uncomfortable. And they're like, oh yeah, I've been here. And I also know it doesn't last forever. Like I also know that even when it's hard, I can keep going. I don't like it. It's not a fun feeling, but it will end. And, especially for those of you that are into the ultra distance, you hit those points multiple times. In fact, you can hit a super low point and then like for the next 20 miles, be on a complete high, and then hit a low point again for 5 miles and then be on a high. And if you understand that about ultras, if you understand it is about working through the highs and the lows all the way to the finish line, you're going to be that much more successful. It is not about how can I have the best race, the most comfortable race, the easiest race, the most enjoyable race. That's not what it's about. That's what training is. Like, and I think too, when I look back on my training, even for like Western States, my favorite part is the training, because you can pause and take a picture. You can kind of dial back on pace. Like not every single day is intense, but a race is intense. A race is uncomfortable. A race is you getting the best out of yourself. A race is the culmination to all that discipline and that training that you put in. You should be in a place of discomfort at some point. And if you're not, you didn't give 100%. And I know that's hard for some people to hear, but you should finish a race feeling like you gave everything that you had. You deserve to feel that. You deserve to empty yourself out. And but it takes discipline. Even when you stand at the start line, you don't empty yourself out in the first third of the race.
Right.
So the long run is golden. The long run is where you work through that, where you practice your nutrition, you practice your pace, you work through discomfort, and you work through those, the first third, second third, and the last part, of a race. So we're cheering you on, runners, in your long runs. For those of you that are out for a long ride, but also for those of you that are in the middle of a race right now, know that Eddie and I we're stoked for you. We're stoked that you lined up and you put yourself out there. Ed, I was talking to Isaiah this morning, and I was telling him how only like 2%, is it 2% or 0.2% of the population even do marathons, will ever do a marathon. And ultras, it's even smaller.
Yeah.
So when I think of how many runners and just endurance athletes are listening to us while they train and while they race, hey, know that you are rare.
Yes.
And we are very proud of you. So
that
keep
we
up.
are.
Yeah. Keep up the hard work. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. One of the relationships that I am most proud of in my life is the relationship I have with Eddie James McRae. And I'll tell you what, a common misconception about strong relationships is that they have to be easy to be right. Sometimes the best relationships happen when both people choose to put in the work to make them great. And I believe therapy can be a great place to work through the challenges you face in all of your relationships, whether with friends, work, your significant other, or anyone. In past experience, I have found that therapy is helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself. It isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma or have major challenges in life. And if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Become your own soulmate, whether you're looking for one or not. Visit BetterHelp.com/ChooseStrong today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/ChooseStrong.
I don't know if there's a day that goes by over here at the McRae household that I am not made fun of for something that I'm wearing. My kids love to poke fun at the shirts that I wear that are older than them, or the shorts that are a little bit too short and out of style. But thankfully, lately, I have been wearing some Janji gear. Now, Janji's awesome because it looks great, but also is super comfortable. I've been wearing their 5-inch middle short quite a bit lately. I've been wearing it to run. I've been wearing it to the gym, but also just been wearing it to go about my day in. And in fact, I wore these shorts for Sally's Western States race as I was crewing her. Wore them all day. They were great. They were comfortable. They had a ton of pockets. Really, really love those shorts. And also been wearing the windbreaker, the Zephyr Runner Windshield. Great little jacket. It's packable and it looks great as well. Another great thing about Janji is that 2% of all their sales are donated to clean water programs around the world. And up until this point, they've donated almost $1 million to clean water solutions around the globe. So if you are looking to level up or upgrade your running apparel or just your everyday wear, consider Janji. Janji is available at REI stores as well as Janji.com. And if you use code ChooseStrong, you will get 10% off at Janji.com. That's choosestrong at Janji.com. All right, so back to my original question, Sal.
Yeah.
It's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday.
How you doing? How we doing over there?
You know, I just got done with a workout. If you're watching me on YouTube, got sweaty hair up in a bun.
Sweaty hair,
Yeah.
don't care.
Sweaty hair, don't care. I don't look well groomed right now.
You got the muscle tee, flexing a little bit.
Yeah, but Isaiah, I was really excited to film with Isaiah today in our training cave. I did the climb heavy, run fast workout. It's mixed with weights. This is actually one of the most popular workouts in my app. My app is free for a week. If you want to go check that workout out, it is a fantastic workout to get you strong and ready for the mountain. So I know quite often people tell me, like, I'd love to do a mountain race. I'd love to do a mountainous race, but I live in the middle of a city, or I have little kids. I don't have time to like get out to a trail. There is a lot of training that I do on a treadmill and just right here in our garage that gets me mountain ready.
Yeah.
Mountain running's uncomfortable. You know, you're going through varied terrain, you're at altitude, you got big climbs, big descents. Your body needs to be strong and fit. And so that was the workout that I did today. The cool thing about that workout is you can modify it in so many different ways. So basically you are climbing heavy with a weight vest, and then you take the weight vest off and you go right into fast running and you keep rotating that. I like to finish it with about 20 to 30 minutes of lifting, and it's lifting with very little rest in between the sets. I was dripping, like sopping wet head to toe, sweaty after that workout. It's such a good workout. It's also a great workout just to like whip yourself into shape. Like if you need a good strength toning workout, give that one a try. But I was really excited to have Isaiah filming it. He is starting to get more into editing. He loves filming. I'm his mom, so like I'm not his dream subject to film. He wants to film like football and lacrosse. Like he definitely wants to do that for like the professional teams, college teams as he gets older. But we have told him, we're like, hey, you can use me as your practice. Like try different things out. So it was really fun. He was like trying out different angles and trying different settings and different equipment. And I've loved watching him grow in this area. He has a natural talent for it. So I spent the morning with Isaiah in my training cave and, just trying to stay busy. I think we have been getting pictures. We got pictures from Mackenzie. We got to FaceTime her last night. I have to reiterate over and over again, she's living her best life. She really so happy and so busy. I, on the other hand, it's hard for me to go anywhere around town. Yesterday, Eddie, you and I went to the grocery store and I cried like 4 times in the grocery store. I was so embarrassed. Like, I'm embarrassed.
Don't be embarrassed.
I'm like, why can't I stop? Like, why can't I stop crying? Like, what is wrong with me? This needs, like, I need to move on from this, and I will. I know as time goes on, it'll get better. It is just such a personal thing to me. I think it's just kind of, I miss her. I miss that season. I don't want it to be over. All the things. But the thing that always lifts my spirits is knowing that she's living her best life. She doesn't need us. Nope. Like, she's not saying, hey, I want to come home, or I miss you guys so much, or like, when are you coming to visit, or this is really hard. It's like, I think, it took her 2 days to contact you.
Yeah,
right?
She finally FaceTimed me last night.
After 2 days.
The highlight of my week.
It was. You've been waiting patiently.
Waiting for that call.
2 days ago, she said, Dad, I'm so sorry. We've been so busy. Like, I'll call you tonight. And then like a whole 36 hours went by.
I never got the call. So
yeah.
Last night, finally got that FaceTime.
Yeah, right before she went to bed.
Yes,
and how was that? How was that for you?
It was awesome. Good to see her smiling and sharing all the gear that she got from the team. And, it was good to see her.
Yeah. I don't think we could like envision a better situation. We want our kids to not need us.
Yep.
But like the other, like secretly inside, we're like, but we do want them to see us, need us. We do want them to, to come back. But the truth is we don't. Like, we didn't do our job. If she was like
you're right.
begging to come back home and didn't, Yeah. So it's all good.
All good.
It's just my big mama heart just needs, I just need a couple more weeks and I'm going to be fine.
Yep.
I'm going to be okay.
You'll pull it together here soon. So besides crying in the grocery store, doing some hard workouts, you have a 4 week. You're 4 weeks out from what? Are you going to tell us? Are you going to let people know? Because there's people out there that are very curious.
Yeah.
And when are you going to let people know what's going on here, huh?
Yeah. I will soon.
You will soon. Okay.
But it is something in the mountain. We got like a big, exciting adventure in the Eastern Sierra.
All right.
How about I just say that?
There's a hint.
Yeah.
Am you gonna let me know? When do I find out?
I'll let you know the role and the details probably in 2 weeks.
All right. Should I be training? Should I not? What do we got? What's my role here?
You just be you,
okay.
And you be wonderful you like you've always been.
Wonderful you.
And you're gonna be just fine.
All right, done. So we got a little hint there. We'll take it. We'll take it and run with
it. Follow along. I should just say we are gonna be kicking off the YouTube again here. We'll be sharing some training. We have a couple films in the works as well. So I'm really excited about that. We kind of took a little break for a little bit, but yeah, there's some cool stuff that we're doing, and I'm excited about. It's also helped me stay focused on other things.
Yeah. All right. Well, there we have it. A little hint into what Sally is up to in 4 weeks. So appreciate that, Sal, for dropping a little bit of hint for us. All right. So I'm going to move on here, and I'm going to share a couple reviews. And speaking of reviews, we had a giveaway a couple episodes ago saying that we were going to give away to 2 lucky winners a sturdy hat and a mango go gel. And we have chosen
a box of mango go gels.
Sorry, not one gel. A box of go gels. Can you imagine? Just like one little one. All right. Yeah. So a box of go gels and a Stay Sturdy hat. And we've chosen 2 lucky people, and we are going to let them know on Instagram this week. So keep your eyes out and your eyes out and ears peeled, I guess, but you're not really listening. You're going to just look.
Is that kind of awkward?
That is kind of awkward, yeah. I was like, wait, what? So anyways, speaking of reviews, I got 2 that I want to share today, and they're both from Apple. And the first one's from Christian Peranzi. And Christian, he said, "It's not about the running. Well, sometimes it is. This podcast is the perfect blend of running, relationships, personal growth, and laughs. Sally and Eddie are an absolute match made in heaven, and their willingness to be open and honest about life makes this show so relatable. Thank you for the amazing distraction during my runs. Y'all are the best. Go Lumberjacks." Christian hit us.
Go Lumberjacks.
Yeah, go Lumberjacks. I see what he did there. I see also that he uses us as a distraction. I don't know if that's a good thing. Is that a good thing? That we're distracting? He's using us to distract him.
You know what? I think that,
is that a positive?
We can take the word distraction as meaning other things. It's like we're
the English teacher. You tell me.
Well, I think that the English language is pretty hard to understand. And I think sometimes you have to understand, you have to really be in touch with the sentiment that they're meaning. So I don't think it's a distraction from the work. It's like, dude, it's like going on a run, and runs are so much more enjoyable when you have friends to run with. Or like I've told you this before, I love it when you ride your bike next to me during a run. It makes it just more enjoyable, different. Sometimes it goes by like way faster because you're with me.
Yeah.
We have more fun together. I think
so it's a good distraction.
What they're meaning here.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm just checking. All right. Christian, thank you for that. We appreciate that. All right. The second one and last one is from Ultra Megan, also on the Apple Podcast. Says, "Best training partner. Sally and Eddie are a delight to take with me on my training runs. They always show up. They make me laugh, cry, think deeply, inspire me to go one more. It feels like they're inviting me into their lives, sharing things that are important to them. Genuine and real. That's what I feel from the dynamic duo. Choose strong." Ultra Megan. appreciate that.
Yeah, I really appreciate that.
Yeah, that was a nice, heartfelt review, and really kind of hit on all the points that people talk about in this show, Sal. That, we do share things that are important to us,
We do.
We do that quite a bit.
We can kind of talk about, just recently I was pretty vulnerable sharing with everyone about just how I'm feeling.
No, it's good.
Yeah.
It says it feels like they're inviting me into their lives, and that's kind of something that we like to do, right? Like, we want people to listen in, and I'm just shocked. I'm not gonna lie, I'm just shocked. So many people want to know what's going on, but you know what? We're here at the table with you, and you can pull up a chair and watch me and Sally, listen to me and Sally babble. Well, I babble. Sally always has good wisdom nuggets to share, and I'm just here like making faces. And all right, I'm moving on. All right, so we always like to highlight some Choose Strong listeners and in our Choose Strong community that are doing awesome things, training, raising families, working hard towards goals, and we like to highlight them. And ways that we find these people are in the Facebook group, in the Choose Strong Strava group, through email, through our Instagram. And so there's a variety of ways. And like we've said in the past, there's so many awesome people out there doing awesome things. It's really hard to even pick a couple. But here we go. I got one from Molly Keller in the Facebook group. And Molly said this. She says, I smoked from 2005 to 2022, and I vaped from about 2012 until about a month ago. Not the first addiction that I've tackled, but definitely the hardest. It's taken me dozens of tries over the years to get to this point. And a few days after my last race, I just put the vape down and I haven't touched it since. Y'all have convinced me that I can do my first ultra this fall. So here we go. Jump straight into week 8 of Sally's 50K plan today, and I can't remember the last time I was so laser focused on a big goal. Wow. Choosing strong every dang moment of every day.
That's amazing.
Molly, that's a strong mind right there. For her just to giving that up after years and years of that struggle and saying, you know what, I'm going laser focused on a big 50K goal. Yeah. It's pretty awesome.
It is awesome, and it's freeing being able to share that.
Mm-hmm.
It's freeing being able to share that openly, because I feel like so often when we share stuff like that, we also find other people that are also going through it too.
Yeah.
And that's what's so great about community, is you don't feel so alone.
Mm-hmm.
In that same vein, knowing that our life is filled with ups and downs, and that it's never, progress is never a straight line. It's not smooth sailing.
Right.
When we try something, sometimes it is taking 2 steps back before we take 2 steps forward. It's just never, it's being relentless in that.
Yep.
And, when I was running my fitness business back when we lived in Irvine, working with so many different women from every walk of life, their main goal for all of them was to be fitter and stronger and healthier, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I got to witness what that looked like, coming from a variety of people and how they all live their lives differently. They all had different bodies and shapes and, different fitness levels. Nobody did it perfectly. Nobody was 100% all the time, every single day, hitting the goals, making progress. If anything, I'd say that all of us, we had rough seasons. We had moments of weakness. We had setbacks. We had, okay, I need to get back on the saddle again. But what I was always inspired by, because it was an incredible group of women, is that they always showed up and kept trying.
Mm-hmm.
So I love to encourage that when people are going after goals and they're overcoming really difficult things, whether that's addiction or just negative habits and patterns. It is a journey.
Yeah.
And your mind is powerful. What you believe about yourself is powerful, but your support, your community, that plays a big role too.
Yeah.
And making a commitment to never giving up is far more powerful than making a commitment to now everything's going to be perfect and I'm never going to fail or struggle with this again. It's, yeah, you might struggle with it again, but you are strong enough to keep going and to overcome it.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm so encouraged by that review.
Yeah.
I mean, that encourages me.
Yeah. Well done, Molly. Hey, we are
Molly,
cheering
awesome.
for you. And yeah, we're stoked that you shared that. And for those of you that see her in the Facebook group, give her some love.
Yeah. Thank you, Molly.
All right. Second one is from Jessica Baxter. Jessica wrote in the Choose Strong Strava group. She posted a run, a 4.5 mile run. She said, first good run back from recovering from a sprained ankle.
Oh, man. It feels so good to get out for that first run after an injury.
Yeah.
That's the best feeling.
Yep. And then she says, don't worry, Eddie. I also run the same boring track along my local beach. And she has a straight line down this
I love
path.
It.
So,
I love it.
Jessica, I see you. I feel you. You're my people. That same boring run. But I wanted to highlight her because you know what? Coming back, like you said, from an injury, sprained ankle, and getting out there, it always feels good to get back out there when you haven't been out there in a while. So, Jessica, well done. We'll hope that ankle is nice and healed now. All right, last one is also from the Choose Strong Strava group. This is from Ernest Vardaman. Ernest says, coming back from a 4-ish month injury that has kept my miles down and speed slow. I actually hit a negative split. So I wanted to highlight him as well because he was coming back from an injury as well. But he went out and ran 14 miles out in Manassas Park in Virginia.
Let's go.
So
Virginia.
Yes.
Let's go.
Yes. So Ernest, we see you. Well done, buddy. And that's all I got. I wanted to highlight those 3. And for those of you that are out there putting in the work and sharing that stuff, we see it. We see you, and we're cheering for you.
This episode of Choose Strong is brought to you by Manukora honey. And if you have been a listener for any stretch of time, you know how much Eddie and I love honey. So we are very excited about this one. It is getting colder. It is time to think about presents for the people you love, and the miracle of nature just fell on my lap at the perfect time. And that's a rare super honey that is 100% natural and has some unique properties. Manukora makes Manuka honey, a single origin honey that comes from New Zealand, where the bees only feed on the nectar of the Manuka tea tree, making honey that is pure, rich, and complex with a creamier texture that is on a completely different level from the normal honey you find at the supermarket. You can use it as you would any other honey, but what puts the super in Manuka honey is that it's super rich in antioxidants and prebiotics 3 times more compared to regular honey. On top of that, it contains an antibacterial compound called MGO that can be found exclusively in Manuka honey. The bottom line is that these nutrients really support your optimal immune and digestive health, and it's delicious. This is the perfect way to treat myself with something that is going to keep me strong through the colder months, and the perfect gift for the people I love to keep them sweet and healthy too. The 850 plus honey has this creamy caramel texture that melts in your mouth and is unlike anything I've ever tried. I can grab a spoonful out of a jar, which I've been known to do many a times. I can put it in my favorite beverage or squeeze some honey out on some toast or oatmeal. I personally like honey peanut butter sandwiches. So delicious. If you head to manukora.com/Sally, you can get $25 off their starter kit, which comes with the MGO 850 plus Manuka honey, a free travel pack honey stick, a free wooden spoon, and also a free guidebook. It's the perfect gift for a loved one during this season. Now, I love the jar and squeeze bottle, but the extra pack of compostable honey sticks is perfect for whenever you're on the go. You can bring them with you when you're traveling or if you need a quick snack running errands, and they're the perfect energy boost if you're out for a run or at the gym, especially in this time of year. That's MANUKORA.com/Sally to get $25 off your starter kit. This is just the ultimate honey. Indulge and try some honey with superpowers from Manukora.
All right, Sal, let's move on. We got some Q&As specifically for you.
Okay. Well, these are going to be for you too.
Okay. Well, then if I chime in, they're for me too, but most of them are for you. Let's be honest. I got one here. This is a kind of an important one. I feel like you get this one quite a bit. And I don't know if it's the season. It probably is, because I think we mentioned this, or you mentioned this a couple episodes ago, where it's, August, and it's a tough season, tough month for motivation.
Yeah.
And so I've seen this theme pop up through different emails and messages that have come through. And so I did want to ask you this one so you can shed some light on maybe what you do that might help others. But what is your biggest why to the work that you do? So you do a whole bunch of stuff, and obviously you're training hard, you're doing podcast stuff, and raising a family, and a lot of people, they're doing those types of things, and they're missing out on the why. They don't know why they're doing those things, especially I think maybe more specifically the training that comes up.
Yeah.
Like it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the motivation behind maybe why you do it?
Mm-hmm.
Apart from being a professional runner, like that's your job.
Right. It's a great question. It's something I like to talk about. I have to preface it with it is very personal to me. I realize that not everyone is going to identify with this.
Yeah.
But I believe in my purpose here on earth.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of conviction for that. I believe that my purpose here on earth is to love other people. I know that I have been given a platform where I'm able to reach a lot of people, and I feel a responsibility to that, to use it in a way that doesn't glorify myself, but glorifies God.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that understanding my purpose here on earth, it gets me excited every day about my work. It doesn't make it easy. I have the same emotions and feelings that any other human does. I have doubts and just hard days. But I think when I put my hand to the plow and put the work in, and I understand that my work is for something greater than myself, that actually gets me more excited to work, because whether I fail or succeed, I believe in the work. I believe that the process and sharing that journey, I know it's going to encourage other people to do the same thing. But I want to live my life in such a way that when I'm gone, when I've crossed my final finish line, that I've left my mark on the world in a way that is so much bigger than me. And so that's, everything that I do. I know that when I run, when I train, when I'm taking care of my body, when I'm able to get on the podium at a race, or I go to an event and I interact with people, or I'm on a stage speaking, those are all opportunities to reach people. Yeah. And I feel that when I was a little girl, I experienced some hardship in my life. I had a lot of loss at a young age, a lot of pain at a young age. And what helped me get through that was my relationship with God. But I also had someone in my life that was a massive encouragement to me. And that was my mom. And after she was gone, there were other people, mentors and friends that were also just encouraging to me. And like some really low, dark times in my life when I would question the purpose of my life. And I learned at a young age how fleeting and empty medals and trophies and accolades were, because I got a lot of those. I mean, I experienced a lot of success as a kid, whether it was in sport or in academics. And I think partly because I was trying to find meaning and purpose in my life through that. But what I learned is when you lose people and you experience deep pain, you also learn about what is important in life. And I wanted to live a life that had the same impact that my mom had on me. I thought, wow, like she never had millions of followers and people that knew her and even just tons of friends. Like there wasn't social media and like, but, and even her body, I mean, for what I remember of her, most of her life, she wasn't very healthy. And then of course, like from the time I was 14 to 17, like she was stage 4 cancer, like battling that. So, the inspiration that she was, as far as like even just being strong, was so much deeper than just physical muscles. And I just thought, wow, the way that she lived her life and the way that I remember her and the way she impacted me, it's really powerful. And, so I'm motivated by that. I don't always lean into what's your why. I mean, I understand there's two sides of that too, but I actually think that we can become so obsessed with like the why. I've talked to a lot of people that say, I don't know what my why is. And for me, like, why is a question. Why are you doing that? Why is, and I think when we go through seasons that are really tough, or even like in a race, like people say, like, when things get tough, remember your why. I'm like, yeah, sometimes people realize and they actually drop out when they're like, yeah, my why wasn't strong enough. Like the reason wasn't strong enough. And I think that remembering who you are and realizing that you have great purpose and great value, that's enough. Like you are enough. You don't need to have like this groundbreaking why. You don't need to have some earth-shattering like testimony or story about your life. You know, when I first met you, Eddie, I remember trying to hide so much about my life when I met you. I'll never forget the conversation that we had when you found out that my mom had passed away and I had been through all this stuff, and you were literally like, I've known you, I've shared stuff with you. Like, why would you? I came into college wanting to start over and not wanting people to know about my story. I didn't want them to know what I came from, what I had endured. I really thought if I could come off as just this happy soccer player, that my life would seem more valuable and like I'd kind of fit in with everyone, and that my life would seem a little bit more purposeful. Like I'm just going to kind of move on from that. But what I've learned is that there is no part of our life that is a mistake. There's a lot of us, I mean, I took a handful of the letters that people have mailed to me. I actually took them with me to Flagstaff to read on the flight to and from, because some of these letters were like 6 and 7 pages long. And I don't share the letters on the podcast, but I mean, I cried reading those, realizing that people were writing to me because they knew that I understood. They knew that, well, you've been here before, and I want to share it with you, and I want to share my journey. And I don't take those things lightly. And as I've gotten older, I realize that all of our pain, all of our hurt and our losses can be used for something good. Yeah. And when we're in it, we don't like people telling us that. I remember when I was going through a lot of rough stuff when I was a teenager, and people would say, this is going to be used for something good. Like, you're getting stronger. You're so strong. And I was like, that's the last thing I want people to tell me. I just want to be a normal kid.
Right.
Like, I don't want to go through this to be stronger. I just want to be like, I want to have a good day. I want things to go right. Like, I want to be happy. But now looking back, I understand that it has allowed me to have a lot of empathy and compassion for people in so many walks of life all over the world. And my pain drove me to travel the world and work in orphanages and work in impoverished areas, to work in prisons, and like to sit alongside with people in their hurt and hopefully just be a friend. And I believe that running is just kind of like the shiny object for what I do. It's like maybe what pulls people in is the running and the training, but I would go as far to say that is not why I do it. I don't do it so that I can talk about how great my runs are, or like, look at these medals that I've gotten. I do it because I believe in the purpose that this body that was given to me, that's sturdy and strong, is able to use running to encourage people in whatever path that they're on. And it's allowed me to connect with people all over the world. And that just brings me so much joy. And, it's my hope that that's what I'll be remembered for is maybe you listen to a podcast, or you read my book, or we got to interact, at an event somewhere, and you left feeling encouraged. You left feeling like you believed in yourself, that you felt seen, and you felt, that person felt loved. I don't think that's unique to me, though. I think that's something that we can all do. I think that if we took some time in whatever career that we're in, or in the family that we're raising, and that we realize that there's greater work, there's a greater impact. I've lost count of how many times, people have said, well, I just do this, or like, I don't have any talent. I don't have like, this is what my life is, and kind of belittle their lives. And I'm like, no, if you were put on this earth to impact one life, you have no idea what that one life is going to do.
Yeah.
And that always goes back to when I think of my mom, who had a very, very small circle in a very short time on this earth, and experienced so much pain.
Yeah.
But if she knew how her story and her life impacted me, and how ultimately it gave me the courage and the bravery to do what I do today, and the number of people that it reaches, I mean, that's what's so beautiful about being connected to people, being connected in community, is you share your life and you inspire other people. But all of us can take a moment to be kind and love in whatever it is that we do, because that's truly where the impact, it is. So that's what gets me up in the morning. That is what motivates me in running. We can call that's like the biggest why. I believe in my purpose on earth.
Yeah.
And I think that if you wake up every day, that's a gift. And no matter what you think of yourself right now, if you're in a low spot, there is great purpose for you, and you have no idea what's down the road. You have to keep living. You have to keep moving forward, because there is a reason why you wake up each day. And I believe that with my whole heart. So, yeah.
All right. Well, I should just end the podcast right now, because that was a great answer. And I'm bummed I led with that. I should have actually ended the podcast with that one. So well done. So everything else is just going to be not as good, probably. So
that's not true. Can I actually ask you? Okay, go ahead.
Coming off of that question of your why being the purpose of that you have, and so people looking on the outside or watching you doing all these things, and obviously you have the reason why you do these things. The next question goes in line with that. It says, do you ever have days where you just want to be in your PJs? It seems like you never stop.
I think you could actually answer this very well because you get an up close look at me.
Yeah.
Day in and day out. So I'm actually going to, in a very vulnerable way, let you answer this. You've seen from the time I was 18 that, yes, I do go nonstop. I think we were talking about last night at dinner, right? Where for a solid 15 years, I only got anywhere between 3.5 and 5 hours of sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you want me to answer the question again, do you ever have days you ever want to be in your PJs? It seems like you never stop. Okay, so if I was to answer this for you, the answer is yes, right? You have days that you just want to be in your pajamas, that you just do not want to do anything, not because you don't love what you do. It's just because, you know what, I need to just not do anything today. And you'd be totally justified if you did nothing a couple times a week. And then that second part where it says, it seems like you never stop. That is true. Sally does not ever stop. She is constantly going. It's rare that she will sit and do nothing on the couch or watch a show she is just go, go, go all the time. But it's interesting because she crashes hard too. So she'll go strong for, a week. And then it's even though she might not want to, but yeah, she'll have days where she's just I got nothing left in the tank right now. Yeah. I don't want to talk. I don't want to go anywhere. I just want to just veg out. And even your vegging out is not the normal veg out, but it's so that's my answer on your behalf for that question. Yes, she does want those days, but it's only because she's gone hard, really hard for a few days, and then kind of needs that pick me up.
Adding a little insight to that though is, I believe that's just the way I was made.
Oh, 100%.
Because when I was a little kid, I was the same way. I think that there's a good there's a lot of good in being able to just identify what the way that you are, the way that you were crafted and knit together. And some people are really good at finding a little bit more balance in, hey, I'm going to work for these hours. I'm going to recover. I'm going to go spend time with people. I'm going to work on something around the house, and really flow through a day. And then there's, some people need 8 or 9 hours of sleep. I don't look down on that at all. I have a couple friends. Colin Cooley is one of them. I'm just going to call him out right now. I don't even think he listens to our podcast.
Colin.
He's a good friend of ours. But, Colin is, that's something that we're really similar in. He goes non-stop. I think he's able to, he's high functioning on very little sleep.
Yeah.
I think just some people are like that. And I don't think it's necessarily something oh, I wish I was like that, but appreciating that, if you are someone that needs 8 or 9 hours of sleep, there's a reason for that. There's a reason why you are like that, and you are needed. You're needed in this world.
The first time that I really spent time with Colin was crewing you for Badwater. And I knew of Colin, but I had never spent time with him. And that is exactly Colin, because he was so sharp and with it and very bright. Yeah, mentally the entire time on zeros. He was the only one that didn't. I didn't sleep.
And this is Badwater, which is insanely hard to crew.
Yeah, he was
exhausting
on it, and he did not sleep, didn't want to sleep, didn't need to sleep, but yeah. So
he runs multiple businesses.
Yeah,
and travels every 2 days. He's incredibly successful in everything.
But he's rare, right?
Does.
That's one of those personality. That's one of those the way he's been wired. Is not normal.
Yeah, and I don't think that people are wired that way. It actually isn't. They're never gonna do well if you force them to hey, you're gonna lay by the pool for 2 hours, or I'll be honest, family vacations are hard for me.
Yeah, because Sally's idea of vacation are let's go summit that mountain, and then when we get back, we're gonna go in the gym and do a workout, and then we're gonna go take 10,000 steps around the city to see the city. That's Sally's vacation.
But even I don't even think it's always the physical side. Like then I want to be sitting and reading or researching or writing something or working on something at the desk.
Yeah.
I find that when I'm around people who are different from me in that, it's like rejuvenating for me to be around people that aren't like high energy and get little sleep and go. Oh, you have always, but you are like consistent in your energy. See, that's the thing. You're the most dependent, reliable, like chill person. And like, you are so good for me to be around. I think if we had the same energy level, it would not be good.
That would not be good. That would not be good.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Let's go to the next one. This is more of the next ones are more like racing, training questions that came in. So the TRX bands for cross training. Is that are those good?
Mm-hmm. I love, like, it looks like TRX bands, any type of functional movement equipment, stuff that like zeroes in on core.
Yeah.
Body weight. Like I love Pilates. I do mat Pilates. I've been doing that for 20 years. It's so good for runners. I'm a big believer in being well-rounded in fitness. I think old school thinking was if you're a runner, you just run. And if you lift, it's like the 2-pound weights and maybe you do like a plank and some push-ups and some lunges, but that's it. I believe because our bodies break down every year.
Yeah.
So when you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, I mean, they are constantly breaking down. And so overall strength and in a variety of ways, TRX bands, they challenge you in different ways. I think it's like, for those of you listeners that have done like a bar class, oh my goodness. I remember the first time I did a bar class, I didn't realize I had those muscles in my body. They really focus on the smaller muscles in your body. But I think always challenging yourself to strengthen in other ways, head to toe, is going to pay off big time, just in your everyday life. So I think that when we pick a sport, whether you're a cyclist, you do CrossFit, you're a runner, you like to hike, swim, it's important that you remember that the strength in your body is used all day. Mm-hmm. It's not just for that sport. And it's important that there is some, whether 1 or 2 days a week, that is dedicated to strengthening your entire body.
Yeah.
And TRX bands, awesome. A Bosu ball, resistance bands, balance boards, plyometrics, agility training. Like there's so much that you can do. And I think this is why I love my off season so much, because I will spend 2 months working on those kind of things. I'll spend 2 months working on strength, agility, plyometrics, maybe things that I don't get to fully focus on so much when I am in the middle of a run training program. But there's always something that you can do.
Yeah.
And those are great.
Speaking of the TRX, I remember I was doing not bodybuilding, but like a strength program.
Yeah.
And it was lifting weights, and then I remember there was a TRX like exercise or whatever. Mm-hmm. It was like doing shoulders or delts or something, and I was like kind of raised the eyebrow. I'm like, oh, I've never used them, and I was like, how's that gonna? But I was like, whatever, I'll do it. I could not finish the sets. Like my delts and like shoulders were burning.
Yeah,
they were so hard. Like such a good,
because you're balancing too with those things.
It was very very hard.
I feel like a lot of the gyms now, we have them at LA Fitness. Yeah. And they have these signs that show you like 12 different exercises you can do.
Yeah, there's a lot you can do with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're great.
Speaking of kind of those types of training, cross training, a person had a question, and I'm curious about this answer as well. They said, I love CrossFit and your 50K program. How do you suggest that I combine them? So the 50K program is a 16-week program that is in your app, and there is obviously a lot of long runs and, different types of runs that take up quite a bit of time. And then there's some strength that you've incorporated. And CrossFit obviously is a full program. How would you, if you were able to do that, how would you combine those two?
Yeah. Shout out to my good friend, Carrie Prince, who's done CrossFit for years. And she's also an endurance runner. And she does a great job balancing both those things. She's also a nurse. She's got 3 kids.
And I think it's her husband Jason's birthday today.
Is it? Happy birthday, Jason Prince. Hello, Carrie Prince. Yeah, this is when I was doing my online coaching program before I launched my app. I no longer do that anymore. I had several athletes that were weightlifters that did just heavy lifting and then also were part of CrossFit. And this is a very common question. So it is hard for me to be specific just because I don't know the athlete. And I always like to speak specifically to the athlete, knowing their history and what they're working toward and what their goals are. Your goals have so much to do with how a program is crafted. And so on one hand, there's, okay, I want to run a 50K. I've done 12 of them and I want to get on the podium. I want a PR. I want to run this the fastest I've ever been. And then there's also people who CrossFit. They're like, well, I want to go to the games. I want to be competitive in CrossFit, but I also love doing 50K. So without knowing what the goal is, it is difficult to speak to this. So I'm just going to be very general in this answer. And the way that a running program works when you're combining strength training is you have to give respect to your run workout days. Your run workout days. So there's running and then run workouts. And a run workout is where there's intensity. And intensity is going to come in speed and then also duration. So a long run is considered a workout because you're on your feet for a long time. That takes a lot out of you. And then you have the tempo workouts. You have intervals. You have hill repeats. So the days where you are going to be lifting, what I typically have always done is on a day where I have a hard run workout, I'll do that first, and then I'll lift in the evening. The next day is the crucial point. The next day is recovery. The next day, you're either cycling or you're doing yoga, or that's a complete day off. That's how you combine strength and running. You have to put the intensity together and you have to recover after it. The other thing that you can do is you can go and have a hard CrossFit workout day, and then the next day can be an easy aerobic run. So let's say you were at the gym, CrossFit gym for an hour, hour and a half, wrecked yourself. It was a great workout. The next day you can go run easy. You can do just an aerobic run. I would not do a tempo run or a hill workout or a long run the day after. It's not sustainable to continue like that for week after week. There has to be respect for the intensity that you're doing. So I would do an aerobic run the next day, and then maybe the day after that, then you can do a run workout, or even that's a recovery day, a full day off. So you have to look at how you're spacing out the workouts, but you absolutely can do CrossFit and the 50K program together. I crafted that 50K program with strength in it. And I'd say that if you're CrossFitting, look at the days where there is a run workout, do the run workout first and then do CrossFit in the evening. And you can move workouts around, but the next day after that, there needs to be some recovery in. So intensity always needs to be followed up with recovery. So you can, once you kind of understand how programming works, you can kind of program anything. And another way to look at it is have 2 to 3 days of intensity. Everything else around that is supposed to be you're recovering so that you can work hard again. That's how you stay injury free. That's how you stay not beating yourself up and motivated and good energy week after week after week. Not every day is go hard, go home. It's not every day lift hard, run fast, every single day that you're revving your engine and pretty soon it's going to break. We're human. We don't have perfect bodies. And so for me over the years, I have slowly built up that big engine. I've slowly built up a lot of strength where I can handle longer workouts in the gym and then go run in the mountains, after that. But I couldn't do that right away. So there is a a learning curve. There's a foundation that needs to be built when you're combining those two.
And like you said, that recovery piece is pretty important.
It's so important. And I learned my lesson early on in ultra running, because I didn't do that. And so my first 100-mile race, I ran on a stress fracture that I didn't realize I had till halfway through that race. I had IT band injuries. I mean, I had so many things, like dealing with extreme fatigue, because I just felt like I was invincible and that I could do it all. And then I had to go back to the drawing board and start to build, a foundation very slowly. It took years to be able to handle the volume that I do now.
Yeah. It's been weird because I've been getting tagged in certain posts that it's like this guy on the couch saying he's entering his 33rd week of recovery. And I'm getting tagged in these types of things. So I don't know if people are like, he's the recovery king, or if that's just Eddie is embarrassing because that's all he does is just recover.
33 week. You did talk about that on a couple of podcasts, and it was hilarious. So
I'm still recovering from the March marathon.
Yeah. Well, you had a great workout yesterday. In fact, I took my day off yesterday, and you went to the gym.
I went to the gym, yeah.
How are Eddie's goals? I know this is something that people love hearing about. I don't know if I shared this yet, but when me and Mackenzie pulled up to a trailhead in Flagstaff, there was a couple there that approached us, and we got to have a good chat with them for about 10 minutes. But the wife was like, "Oh yeah, I don't run. My husband does." And so he was telling me about this 50K that he was going to do, that he was training for. And she said how much she loves you.
Oh,
how relatable you are, because you live a real life, and you're always working toward different fitness goals, and you seem to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And setting goals for yourself is fun, and it's hilarious, but like you're always doing something. But how are your goals going, Ed? Like, what are we working toward right now?
So I got a new goal from yesterday. I started a new one. And it's kind of odd because yesterday was Tuesday, and usually I start new goals like on a Monday, so I'm really changing it up now. But I hurt my soleus on vacation.
In New York. We heard that story in one of the podcasts.
And then I thought I would be good to go a week later, so I went running, and it flared up again. So, I'm going to take 2 weeks off. So I'm about a week-ish into that, so I still have another week that I really want to play it safe. So I've decided, starting yesterday, for the next 10 days, I'm going to just go to the gym and lift weights, and not going to run. I'm going to stay off the leg a little bit. And then that'll lead me right into around September 1st. And then I'll come up with a new goal at that point.
Okay.
So my new goal is 10 days lifting weights.
Eddie, you are a numbers guy, and I feel like so many of your goals have numbers attached to them.
They definitely do.
It's 10 days or like 8 days of 6 miles. It's September 1st is coming up.
Yeah.
And if I had to ask you about your why, I'm pretty sure your why would involve numbers.
Probably.
It was like, I need to hit these numbers.
There might be a little bit of math and numbers in there.
Yeah.
But so that's my goal. That's
okay. So September 1st.
Day 1, checked it off the list yesterday. Day 2, we're going to get after it in a little bit.
September 1st, I can revisit Eddie's goals.
So September 1st, I'll have a new goal. It might be a longer goal. We'll see how the leg's feeling, because I do want to get out and run. So, so that's that.
Wow.
All right. So do we have time for another one, Sal? What do you think?
We have time for one more, then we got to wrap this up.
One more.
We got to wrap this up.
All right. So let's go with this one. This person wrote in, not racing, but I want to improve my endurance, my speed, and my strength. So how do I split that up in the year? So there's not really a race that was on the calendar, but this person just wants to improve the endurance, speed, and strength. So how do they do that all at once, or do they spend 3 months, What do they do? How do they split that up?
I would put endurance and strength together.
Okay.
I think you can work on both of those together, and then speed is a separate cycle.
Okay.
Doing speed and endurance together is a great way to get injured.
I've done that before.
Or completely crush yourself. Your aerobic base building phase, and this could be in cycling. It could be if if you love to hike and you're planning on doing like 3-pass hiking, or you want to build up to like a half marathon or a full marathon, spending time building an aerobic base is insanely valuable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so, so valuable. And I would go as far to say, if you have a whole year to do that. Spend a whole year building up your aerobic base, because the bigger your aerobic base, the more you are able to handle intense workouts, the more you're able to handle the fast stuff. I mean, you can get really healthy and strong with a good aerobic base. Because the thing is, aerobic base building is you stay in your aerobic heart rate.
Yeah.
And it's probably one of the most boring phases. I feel like every time I would coach people online, they would say, oh my gosh, it's so boring. But I'm like, just trust me, stay in your aerobic heart rate and you're going to get so fit. And when it's time to go into the workouts and like speed phase, you're going to feel really good and you'll be really strong and your body will be able to handle the intensity. So I'd say spend time building endurance and strength, because you can do aerobic runs and then go to the gym and do a strength and do a strength workout, or like every other day, like aerobic run, and then you're in the gym, do an aerobic run, take a day off, go back to the gym. I'd say that's what a lot of my off season looks like. I'm in the gym 5 to 6 days a week, just building strength. And then I just go, all my runs are super easy. And I don't even go for mileage. I'm just like, okay, I'm going to do like a 40-minute run. I'll do an hour run. And it's just aerobic heart rate, like nothing intense. It's super enjoyable. I'll click into a podcast, and I'm just building fitness. And you have to trust that process because it takes a while to build that. But that's the short answer in that.
Okay. Got it.
Friends, listeners, we have so enjoyed your questions, and we got hundreds of questions sent to us. These are only a few. Eddie and I will revisit more questions because these are great, and we feel like a lot of people can relate to these, and these are common questions, the ones that Eddie picked out, and so we will revisit those. But we just want to take a minute to encourage you in wherever you are in your run right now, wherever you are in your drive, if you are washing the dishes, cooking dinner, if you're hanging out with the kids in the car or in the living room watching us on YouTube, we want you to know that we love you, we care about you. And just as I said at the beginning of this podcast, your life is full of purpose. So make sure you take time for yourself. And whether that's sitting down with a journal and actually reflecting on that, thinking about how far you've come, thinking about the goals that you're working toward, thinking about those dreams that are in your head, you deserve to give yourself time to think about those things. And for you kiddos too, don't stop dreaming big, and remember that you matter, that your life is full of purpose. And we hope that you step out courageously in all you do. Eddie and I will be cheering for you every single day. We thank you so much for listening to this podcast. If you have a minute, we'd love for you to give us a rating and a review. And we just want to encourage you to keep choosing strong in all you do.